I'm 25 years old and I've never been with a woman. I haven't had a date in my life. Um, I haven't even had my first kiss yet. As for being persistently single, most people who know me well, I think, I'll start with people who don't know me so well. I think people who don't know me so well think, it's a little bit of a shock to them, I guess, because the reason why is I guess the average 25-year-old has already had a girlfriend by this point in their life, or at least, has done either they already have, or they have done so within recent memory. I think those closer to me mostly assume that I'm just enjoying being single at the moment. That's the sort of thing that comes up a lot. They're just like, people's like, love the life that you have. Be comfortable being single before you get in a relationship. You can't be happy in a relationship if you're not happy being single. And I don't like that it's assumed that all persistently single don't enjoy their lives. There's lots I absolutely love about my life. I love to. I've got many things I love to do. I love playing hockey, love mountaineering, love the great outdoors and stuff like that. Um, but it's being single that's always, I think, it's contradictory to what my dreams are in life. It's just getting in a relationship just seems to happen so naturally to some people. But that's never been the case for me, it seems. And it's pretty leaves you feeling pretty disheartened. I'm not gonna lie. When your only dream in life was to find your person and hopefully have a kid one day, which I would love to do. That's my dream in life, is to have a family. That's about my only ambition, and I've got absolutely nowhere near that. Because I guess most people sort of maybe 10 years younger than me had already found their person and had a kid near enough by my age. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, that it's an odd one. Can't obviously I know that I'm not I'm not really alone in all this. Not by a country mile, to be honest with you. I heard something last month or so, which it was saying that nearly 45% of young adults who are 18 to 25 have never in person approached a woman for a date, which is it's an interesting one, that when you think about it, because loneliness in men in general is men under 30 at least, is at a record high. Perhaps we should be taking some lessons from the older generations. That's something I might explore in greater detail at a different time. Perhaps we were too dismissive of them, maybe. But yeah, it's at a record high, loneliness in young men. I've felt it myself. I've only got two particularly close friends, I would say, and that's at best, and that's not much. That's, even by today's standards, that's probably much less than average. I've never felt included in a great deal of circles. I think the ground zero for loneliness, and in particular male loneliness, was in the 1990s. That's when I think men started to have fewer partners, and certainly fewer partners early on in life, I think. I can even remember, I think it was Jimmy Carr. He's a big comedian over here in the UK, and he would have been about my age in the late 1990s, and so he says he was a virgin until he was 26, which I think is, for someone of that generation, it's that's quite striking, to be honest with you. That is very striking, actually. But I think we're at new levels of that sort, of loneliness, and people having fewer partners now. I don't like to use terms like Generation Z or Millennials or any other terms similar to that, because I think they divide us in ways that are unnecessary, and in times when I don't think humanity really needs to be divided anymore. But okay, I think broadly people born in the late 90s and the early 2000s, I think are among some of the loneliest people on the planet, to be honest with you, which is it's very sad when you think about it. It's not a good thing, that I wouldn't say. So what do I think is to blame for this? Well, it's it's unlikely to be one cause, to be honest with you, because it's such a deeply embedded societal issue. But if we look around us, we see social media is practically everywhere. It literally follows us wherever we go. We literally have it in our pockets. We have it on the bus, we have it on the train, we have it at work, we have it in the pub. You name it. Yeah, it's and particularly it's become that way. Like especially so in the past 10 years. You know, it wasn't an overnight thing. It was very gradual. But yeah, by about 2015, it was pretty obvious this was the trajectory society was going on. And I think obviously now in the 2020s, I think a lot of people are nostalgic now for particularly the early 2000s and the late 90s when the internet existed, but it didn't particularly dominate. So I think people have looked at that time in comparison to now and noticed possibly some of the negative effects like this omnipresent internet of things has had on the world around us. I think the problem, there's a lot of problems with social media, and I'm a hypocrite because I do use social media, but I think it's actually made us more antisocial than these, like, they'd like to have you believe. I think people are like almost glued to their phones, like it's to the point that striking up a conversation in public, like on the bus or in the pub, or in some cases even at work, is just seen as like slightly weird now. Yeah, so that's a very unfortunate thing. That means there's fewer people having potential friendships out there, which is a bad thing, I would say. And also I think it's a double-edged sword. It's might have done good things for people who were already socially confident, I would say. In terms of men, that's these 6'6", rugby player type lads, the James Bond type figures of this world. But the rest of us who are maybe less socially confident as them, I don't think it's done as much good for us. Like, I feel like quite a lot of us have been left behind by this, social media revolution. And I always had an hard time fitting in anyway. I was a quiet kid, and I was the target by a lot of bullying by people who were more popular than me. Especially once I turned 13. I consider like the ages 13 to 16 to be one of the pits of my life, to be honest with you. And I was bullied by popular kids. And so what happens when somebody popular bullies you is, the whole crowd basically follows along with them. The crowd sees like them as the good people, and therefore they assume that you must be the villain, you must be the aggressor, the agitator. Like if they find fault with you, when more often than not these popular bullies are just projecting their own inadequacies onto you. Plus like the crowd fears being ostracized by these popular bullies if they go against them and stand up with you. Like I had that from like all sorts of people, and I even had similar experiences in the workplace, which might be something worth talking about in more depth at a different time. I had some brutal rejections when I was young as well, which possibly didn't help all this. One of them was pretty brutal, first ever rejection I had, and I was basically told like, why would any girl want to go near you? Like no girl in their right mind would want to go out with you. And she actually called me an unpleasant word that I don't want to repeat, beginning with P, and said that I looked like this word beginning with P. So yeah, that kind of crippled my confidence in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. I did try dating apps. I used them for months upon months, to be honest with you. I spent a bit of money too. Had a million conversations on there, but none of them led to any dates or anything like that. Look, the point is, I think this is a hard truth, but it needs to be said. Dating apps aren't designed to help you meet your person. They're not designed for you to fall in love, They're designed to exploit lonely people for money, is what it is at the end of the day. Like these people, like the people who run this stuff know that like loneliness is at an all-time high, and they want to make a fortune out of it, to be honest with you. Like Tinder, I think, is something like 67% guys, I believe. So like they're going after that 33% of women. So naturally, some of them are gonna get shafted. Like like all the women who like have good jobs, want kids and stuff, just get absolutely spammed with likes and super likes. So just nobody really wins at the end of the day. I don't think so. I think for the most part, dating apps are unusable basically. Yeah, there's all sorts I could say about this. I'll probably go into it. It probably deserves its own detailed treatment, to be honest with you. I can partially blame myself as well. When I was like 19 or 20 or so, I think I spent too much time chasing short-term pleasure. I did, and I don't think I had very much confidence to go out and find my long-term happiness, which I think has left me stranded being single my whole life by the time I'm 25. I so yeah, I definitely, if you're like a little bit younger than me, like 19, 20, 21 or so, I would definitely encourage like think about what your long-term happiness is. If you've decided what that is already, and just like throw everything at it, like stop at nothing, I would say. you know, and yeah, so yeah, the point of this video isn't to be bleak. It's just to just show a side of the story that I don't think is spoken about often enough, but I think is unfortunately fairly common. And you know, but I think eventually we'll get to the place we want to be. Hopefully, like Shane McGowan said in Fairy Tale in New York, I can see a better time when all our dreams come true.